ever walked through the fall decor aisle, filled your cart, and then gasped at the total, you are not alone. But I've got good news for you. You can have an autumn-ready home without breaking the bank. And today I'm going to show you how. Today I'm sharing my favorite Frugal fall decor so that you can get that rich seasonal look without draining your wallet. We'll talk about how to make the most of what you already own, which free natural elements you can incorporate and instantly make your home look like fall, and exactly what to shop for to get the most bang for your buck. I'll even share a few things that I don't recommend buying. So grab a cozy drink and let's decorate smart this season without emptying your bank account. Hi, I'm Emily from Chasing Simple, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. And so I want to share a few tips with you about fall decor. The first thing I would say is always, before you start shopping, pull out everything that you have and style it up. You know, when you go into Target, if their display was not styled, you would not love it. Like if you take those individual items out of the Hearth and Hand display and you stick them over by the trash cans, it looks different, just like how it looks different on the end caps when it's slightly off season. So just keep that in mind and make your decor look really beautiful. Put it out on a table, make it look like something that you would want to shop from. And it'll really give you an idea of what you have, because you haven't seen this stuff for probably 9 months and you might not remember every throw, every pillow, every floral that you've collected so far. And you might see some things that you've just decided you want to go ahead and do away with, but it'll give you a great idea before you even go shopping of what you already have. And my suspicion is you probably need a whole lot less added to your collection than you maybe thought when you were walking through those fun store aisles. If you took pictures of what you did last year, even if they're in the background from when you had a pumpkin carving party or something like that, take a look and see what you did. Think about what you might want to change this year versus what you did last year. And then make yourself a wish list and shop intentionally. The second tip I would give you is to borrow from nature. And in the fall, especially, this is so easy to do. So when I look around in fields and public spaces, there are so many dried grasses and seed pod kind of things, and even sunflowers that are all over, and they're in huge abundance. And like I said, they're in public places. So I can just take out my shears and pull over the car and snip, and I'm good to go with my fall florals. I don't really think you have to buy any faux fall florals. You can just use things from nature. They are so abundant. And that could be that you have a tree that's just starting to change over in color, or, you know, will in the next couple of weeks. And you can go ahead and just cut a branch off of that tree and bring that in and put that on your mantle. And it's just so beautiful, you know, to use real decor. And the dried florals work so much better than even the faux florals. So I would really encourage you to try that. What you have in your area is probably going to be different than what I have in mine, but really you'll be able to really extend your pricing because those florals are so expensive. So really keep that in mind and go ahead and cut some things from nature. One of the things I like about borrowing things from nature is that it really keeps you honest about what season it really is. And so, you know, I always have the bug to decorate for fall a little bit before it really is fall outside. And, you know, part of my role here on YouTube is to inspire you, so I suppose that's fine. But the reason that you shouldn't be decorating with pumpkins in August is because pumpkins aren't harvested in August. So it makes sense that you would need to wait until late September or early October to actually use pumpkins. And so it keeps you honest about what season you're actually decorating for and helps you to live in the moment instead of feeling like as soon as July 4th is over that it's summerween. It just doesn't make sense. One thing I will say about pumpkins is that I would really encourage you not to buy faux pumpkins. It just is such a fake look, and real pumpkins are so beautiful. You know, you can get all kinds of beautiful heirloom varieties of pumpkins if that's a look that you like, a Cinderella pumpkin, something like that. And I like to just buy like one or two, something that's really pretty that I love from a farm stand or a farmer's market. This year I'm growing some of my own, so I'm hoping that I'll have some from my garden that are big enough to bring in come October. But having a real feature pumpkin is a wonderful thing to do. And then when Thanksgiving rolls around, you can cook it up and make a pumpkin pie, or you can throw it back into a field and let the birds have at it. So it's a wonderful thing to not have to store this decor from nature. It can just get tossed right back into nature when you're finished with it. Okay, finally, I want to share some things to look for that you may want to buy. Depending on how robust your collection is, you may want to add some things to your collection, and there's no shame in that, but I do want to encourage you that if you don't have the budget for more fall decor, this is such an easy one to make do with what you have, to pull things forward from your home that you already have but maybe haven't used over the summer, or to use things from nature. You don't really have to buy new things for fall, but if you want to, I want to share some ways that you can really extend your dollar when you're looking to get things that really have good mileage. One of the things I will share with you is that with fall, there's kind of like apple fall, which is, before pumpkins are really out, where you're starting to have that little bit of nip in the air. Like the trees haven't really changed over yet, but you can start to incorporate some of the textiles and such from fall, galvanized metals, that sort of thing. And then as you get closer and closer to October and into November, that's when you start to bring in pumpkins and that sort of thing. If you decorate for Halloween, that's when you could change over decor to reflect Halloween. I don't really decorate for Halloween. I like to just kind of decorate for the entire fall season. But I do bring in like fur items, for example, as we get later into the season. I decorate with gilded items as we get closer and closer to Thanksgiving versus early fall, because that's sort of the natural progression that I see in nature and in the decor. So I like to think of it a little bit more incrementally. So with fall foliage, I definitely think that having foliage in your house is such an important thing, and it really makes it look seasonal. So I am a huge fan of using florals and swapping them out seasonally. I would suggest that you buy things that you could find in nature. And so if you're gonna buy, I would go ahead and do things that look dry, that look like seed pods, that are like a much less verdant green, like kind of a muted green and more sagey, that sort of thing, rather than buying things that are a really, really vibrant color. If you really look in nature, the leaves are not nearly as vibrant as some of those like leaf garlands that you can find. Sometimes I see purple foliage this time of year that it's not really that color in nature, so that just doesn't make sense. So buy things that you could see in nature if you are gonna buy faux. Another thing I really love are linen covered books, and you might be surprised that even if you don't have an old book collection, you may have some linen covered books. So check behind those book jackets on your collection already and just see what you have. You may find that you have things that are kind of that burnt orange color or red or kind of a gold, a wheat color, taupe, black, brown. All of those would be beautiful. And then if you do have some older books that have the pages are kind of yellowed or something like that, those will be great for fall decor too, regardless of what color the actual binding is. You can always just turn them around, use them as risers for things that you're putting out for decor on a side table or something like that. And that looks really beautiful, and it adds a really nice element, and it's fairly flexible in terms of the way that you can use it. Time of year I feel like is all about textiles. So during the summer, I pull really far back on textiles. I have very few things out as far as linens and pillows and that kind of thing. But as we get closer to fall, I want to see the textiles. So I do want to see like fur pelts, and I want to see block print. I want to see plaid. I want tassels. I want knits, boucle, velvet, tweed, burlap. All of those things really scream fall to me. And so those are the textures that I'm bringing into my house this time of year. And when you layer those, that is when it really looks like fall. I would do textiles that are more textural rather than literal fall themes. So instead of buying pillows that have like pictures of pumpkins, oftentimes in colors that pumpkins aren't actually available in, like blue. I mean, I know there's like heirloom pumpkins that go a little green or that kind of thing, but a vibrant teal blue, you cannot buy a pumpkin in that color, you know? And so if you're seeing super obvious fall elements represented like that, or like a fall leaf tablecloth or something, you will just get so much more mileage out of like a plaid tablecloth or a super textural pillow than you will out of something that is as specific as like a fall scene on it. I also love to switch out my art seasonally, and so I like to swap out just key pieces. It's not like every piece in the house gets swapped out, but like over my mantle and usually in my powder bathroom and sometimes in a couple of other places to swap out my artwork. And when I do that, I really try to focus on pieces that feel fallish without feeling like a scene from a movie where it feels contrived. So I choose things that have like muted fall colors in them and fall scenes. The foliage is colored such that it looks like fall. So I'm not going to choose something that's got a lot of green in it, because once you're a little ways into fall, you're not seeing green on trees anymore. I don't really like things that have words or that feel like a Hallmark movie. I don't want to see like a truck filled with pumpkins or something like that, because that is not an experience that I personally have during the fall season. So I want to keep it really real with my artwork. One thing I would say is to look outside of the fall section. You're much more likely to find things that really do feel organically like fall instead of like a scene when you do that. So just look in the regular art section and look in thrift stores and that kind of thing. Just look for muddier palettes, look for moodier colors and less verdant trees, and or maybe like leafless trees, and you're going to be moving in the direction of what fall really looks like outside by doing that. Okay, another thing I love for fall is just glow and flicker and candlelight. You know, it's so pretty to have candlelight. You can use LED flameless candles that are on a timer or on a remote. You can use those little twinkle fairy lights. You can use real candles, those little touch lamps. You can use lamp lighting and do bulbs that are a little bit more on the yellow side this time of year. All of those things really do make it feel super, super cozy in your house. I also like glassware that sort of moves the eye around. So like mercury glass looks beautiful with candlelight. So I like to incorporate a little bit of that this time. Another thing I would stay away from is super specific fall themed kitchen items. So I saw these spatulas, these little serving pieces. A lot of times this time of year, I see like pumpkin shaped soup tureens. And what feels like fall is that you're eating soup, not that you're eating it out of a pumpkin shaped ceramic tureen. And you have to store that pumpkin shaped fall tureen. And so you don't want to deal with that. And so I would just recommend, like, you can use your enameled cast iron this time of year, and that feels just as fall as that super specific, can only be used during 2 months of the year soup tureen that's shaped like a pumpkin. So think about things in the kitchen that already feel like fall that you can just pull forward. Things like wood cutting boards, copper, cast iron, galvanized metals, all of those things you probably already have in your kitchen, and just get them out, put them on display, use those as your primary pieces during the fall, and it's going to feel seasonal just by nature of using those things. Well, if you enjoyed this video, I know you're going to enjoy my next one. So be sure to like and subscribe, because in my next video, I'll be sharing which items I'm adding to my fall decor this year, and I'll be sharing the seasonal supplies I like to bring into my house to make it feel and smell like fall without any decor at all.